you for staying with us. Now, businesses have to find innovative ways to stay afloat as new economic challenges continue to surface. A new report has revealed that despite the challenges, the consumer goods industry remains profitable. It's had to navigate the global pandemic, stranded vessels and blackouts. For more on this, we're joined by Andrea du Plessis from Trade Intelligence. Andrea, thank you so much for your time. Good morning. Just to kick us off, the fast-moving consumer goods are basically your consumables that we buy on a day-to-day basis. But give us examples.
If you imagine doing your grocery shopping, so feeding your household, looking at home care products, etc., personal care, so all those products that you buy on a monthly basis. From your local supermarkets, etc.
Yeah, but with all these economic challenges and particularly load shedding, and let alone just the pressure on economic or rather disposable income in the household, how has this landscape changed?
The landscape is under severe strain, and I must be honest, for us as consumers and shoppers, we feel the pinch, but I must be honest, all the other stakeholders in this scenario, the retailers and the manufacturers are also feeling the pinch. The incredible costs to the retailers to keep their stores open in investing in diesel is just mind-boggling. I mean, the Shoprite Group, which is the biggest retailer, spends about 3 million rands per day on diesel to keep their stores open. Some of the big manufacturers spend up to R1 million a day on diesel to keep their operations going. For example, in the poultry industry has been hit really, really hard. So even though the shopper feels the pinch in terms of constrained consumer spending, everybody's budgets are under severe pressure, and it feels like food is just getting more and more expensive. But the whole industry is really trying to serve the shopper and the consumer and trying to keep prices as low as possible.
Yes, and I mean, you obviously have to also hunt for bargains. You've seen a lot of promotions, even your high-end stores having combos, for example, in their product offering. Is this a way of trying to mitigate the cost impact to consumers?
Most definitely. I mean, if you look at shopper behavior in the retail industry, it's all driven by shopper needs. And through multiple surveys, we've seen over the past few years that value is the most important need for the shopper. I mean, it used to be a consideration for low-income households. Now everybody's under strain. And the retailers are highly sensitive to shoppers' needs. They really try to serve shoppers the best way they can, and they do this through promotions. So discounts, you spoke about the multi-buy or bundle promotions, or the 3 for 2s, etc., that we see in many stores. And that's a way to try and help consumers to save and really spend their money wisely. However, that's become a big challenge. I mean, we've been observing the retail industry carefully over the past few years, and since the onset of the pandemic, all the retailers are really shouting out to the shoppers, come to us, we've got the best deals. And throughout the month, you could go into any store and find a variety of discount promotions, etc. But of late, we've seen a big shift. In the middle of the month, very few people have the money to invest in a promotion of more than one product, for example. So the retailers are also needing to plan and position their promotions very carefully, understanding the sensitivity around constrained consumer spending and adjust their promotions to suit the consumer's pocket.
Yeah, so while we're on the consumer fast-moving goods, there's also an impact on the perishable items, your fresh produce, meat products, etc., because we're no longer buying in bulk due to load shedding. You're not sure how long you can refrigerate your goods as well. Is this a real problem?
It is indeed. I mean, if you look at the impact of load shedding on consumer behavior and shopper behavior in particular, the shoppers are selecting more shelf-stable products and buying smaller portions of perishable products or buying less of that. A huge decline in the purchase of frozen products as well, because imagine the concerns around food safety. So as a shopper, you would be mindful not to buy something that you think has been compromised in terms of temperature control, and then also not being able to keep things cool and frozen at home. So there's been lots of shifts there in shopper behavior. The independent trade suffers hugely because the corporate retailers have the sort of support of the big networks. And like I said, although it's a huge spend to buy diesel, to keep generators going, to keep the stores open, lights on, fridges cool, independent and informal retail is really struggling because they don't have the funds to always do that. So that sometimes results in those stores not being able to stock any of those perishable products because it makes no sense, because things would expire, or the safety can be compromised. And also some of the stores have to close their doors during load shedding because of the risks, security risks in some areas when the lights go out.
Yeah.
So it's having a huge impact on the industry.
And Andrea, I'm not sure if your study may have also looked at the informal sector, where consumers are looking at different options, maybe even going directly to market or buying from street vendors purely because of affordability, you know.
Definitely, and also the affordability also links to expenses on fuel. So if you imagine having to pay for transport to get to a shopping centre, it makes a lot more sense to do your top-up shopping around the corner at a small informal store, spaza store, at the local market, etc. However, so for example, we've seen pooling of shopper footfall at month end and in the beginning of the month, more to the malls and the big shops. And in the middle of the month, if you look at the South African population, a lot more people buy from informal or local stores around the corner during the mid-month to do their top-up shopping.
All right. We thank you for your time. Andrea du Plessis is a senior retail analyst at Trade Intelligence, just saying how the retailers are navigating the storm of the economic climate that we find ourselves in, with the high fuel prices and load shedding, and also the consumers being pressed with their disposable household income.